Hey, hello everyone. Today is the second session where we are going to review a few resumes, so that you can get a practical feel of what you should do in your own resumes, what you should have, what you should not have, some to-dos, some not to-dos. Basically, yeah, this is a summary of what we are going to do today. We have a few resumes, real resumes, where a few people have volunteered and put up the resume for review, and we'll review them publicly. So hope this session is useful for you. If it is, do let us know. If there's something you can improve, do let us know in that case as well. So without much ado, let us get right into it. Okay. So first resume is from Prashant, and so okay. So the education part is over here, and then there's internship experience, skills, awards, the projects on the right, and then open source contribution extra curriculum. Okay, so first of all, I think most of you might know it already that usually when people are looking at your resume, most of them are going to spend only a few number of seconds looking at your resume. So most people are going to view your resume for only a few seconds. So make sure that you put the important parts of your resume, which are the best selling points. So basically, you're selling yourself and when someone is looking at your resume, so make sure that you put the best parts of your resume at the very beginning, or you highlight them in some way. So basically, if you have your education at the top in your resume, you should try and like it should only happen if there's something in your educational background that is your strongest suit. So specifically, a practical guide would be that if you have your education at the very as the first thing in your resume, it should only happen if one, you are a fresh grad or you are in college right now. Two, your college is really good. Otherwise, you should have other things in your resume which should stand out and which should be at the top. So maybe projects or maybe internships, open source contribution as something that is already present over here. So these are the things that should be of priority, uh, basically, in your resume. So ordering is very important in that way, because you would want to have things that the best things about you to be at the top. So maybe in this case, you would have maybe like either the projects or the internship experience at the beginning, and maybe education can go a little below. Okay, so let me go into the specifics. So let's say education is fine. Okay, internship experience, applied intelligence, GCP, developed this, implemented cloud vision, improved. Okay, by 100%. So some of the good things are that it is explicit, like what has been done during the internship, and there's some direct data point as well. Like you have improved like analytics time by 100%. So this is in general a good thing. Okay. So another thing is problem setter intern, which is fine. Impacted this minister. Okay, this is fine. Skills is also fine. There are some awards, and then projects. So okay, there's a link to the project as well, which is good. And so yeah, in general, like everything else, looks good to me. Okay, remaining everything looks good to me. The good thing is that whenever you have projects, always provide links to your project, so that if someone needs to go through those links and look at what you have actually done, and generally you should have links to two things, if uh, like at least wherever possible. First is link some if it is demoable, so someone can go and look at it. Let's say if you build a website or something like that or an app, someone can go and look at it directly. If it is then there's obviously the code link, maybe on GitHub or a code hosting site like that, where someone can look at the code that you have written. So that is also very important. If you have built something like an app or something that requires download and all of those things, so maybe in the GitHub itself, you should generally have screenshots of things that, like maybe the interviewer, the HR has to go to a lot of steps to actually use or understand what you built. Make it as easy for them as possible. And generally, if you have built something, let's say that requires a login, let's say you built a website, and to actually use your website to actually understand what you built, someone has to log in and then use your website. Try to avoid that. Try to not have the login step mandatory in your website if it is at all possible, so that without logging in, someone can very easily go through what you have built. Okay. So the next one. Okay, so in this one, this is another like good way to do it. Like all of these things can go towards the left, and then you have experience at the very top. Okay, so because the right part, like since it is taking the highest amount of it, probably most people will start reading from there. Okay, web developer intern. Generally, you should have, if you are putting in anything like a job or internship, you should be more descriptive about what you have done rather than like just a one-liner. Working on technology, that includes technology is fine. It's okay. You're mentioning the technology or language stack or whatever that you're working on. But you should be more to the point about what exactly are you building or what exactly are you doing. Just mentioning the languages or the framework is not good. What is more important is what you're building and what is the impact that it is creating. Okay, another web development internship at web coding, worked on web scraping. Okay, so this is also fine. You worked on web scraping, but what did you scrape? Which websites? What data? If it is possible, mention those things as well. So I understand, like, because there's a lot of buzzwords around there regarding technology and languages, frameworks, and lot of students specifically try to learn a lot of them, and that is a thing that they want to put. You might want to put on your resume as well. But what is actually very important is what did you do using those languages and frameworks or technologies. So make sure that you're putting those in your resume. So in terms of projects, okay. So over here in these projects, I see more number of lines, so which is slightly better. But again, like most of the priority, like first point is around the language and frameworks. That should be the last thing. What languages and what frameworks you used. What is more important is what exactly that you do. So put that at the top for each project as well. Okay. Apart from that, uh, okay. Other things look fine to me. Oh yeah, I do not. Okay, the links are there. Make sure you have links as well. Okay. To the next one. Okay. Okay. So Abhinav Singh, education is there. Again, education is the very top. Generally, you'd want to have something else at the very top. Generally, projects that you have done or internships that you have had. Especially like your school information and all of those things should not be at the top of your resume, because you can actually remove your school information at least, because that is not generally a selling point unless you have like uh, got rank at the national level or state level or something like that. You can actually remove your school information from your resume because it does not really add anything. It does not add value. So try to add only those things which actually add value to your profile. Okay. Personal projects. I do not see links. So if possible, add links to these projects. Okay. So transform this. So okay. So in many cases, like you have mentioned, like most, I'm seeing a pattern. Like you have mentioned the languages and the frameworks. At most, you have you have mentioned what you did at a very technical level, but at a high level, you have not explained what your project does, or who is it for, or what problem does it solve. So if you have any project, like try to first, like generally the first point should be around, should be around what your project, who your project is for, or what does the project solve. So, for example, if you have built an e-commerce website, it is like built an e-commerce website where people can purchase this, and do this, for example. So generally, that should be the first point where you describe what your project is, and then you can go deeper into either a tech stack or what exactly feature that you built, all of the technical aspects of it. But prioritize like explaining a project at a high level in the beginning. Okay, that was it. I would suggest you to get more projects if possible on your resume. Okay. Okay. Now for Yogesh. Okay. So experience. Okay. Someone with experience at the top. Curated problems around the structures. Okay. Reviewed existing question bank. Okay. So content creation is fine, but if you're applying for a software development job or an internship, if you have dev projects, prioritize them, keep them at the top, and then maybe you can have projects or experience that you were, let's say, campus ambassador or created problems and all of those things. Those can be there in your resume, but they should generally be below any developmental projects that you've done. So prioritize developmental projects above non-tech stuff that you've done. Okay. Developed website for event, okay, and organized open source coding competition, which is fine. Okay, this is good. Projects, F, share web app to share file with anyone in the world. Okay, so this is what I meant. When you have any project on your resume, first point generally should be around what the project does. Okay, and then it is fine. You develop REST APIs using this technology and all of those things. You can mention after that. Okay, another uh, web app. So, okay, so the projects are decent, and there's some ranks and all of those things. So remaining everything looks fine to me. Okay, so now for Dheeraj. Okay, so you have a summary at the top, which is fine. Generally, if you have a summary, it should be like something very specific. Uh, or in general, you can summarize yourself in this way as well. Summary can be like very important if like can play a very important role if you're applying to a company and your profile is very specifically suited to that company and you want to uh, somehow put that forward. For example, you are applying to let's say an edtech company and you have some experience in the edtech domain, or you're somehow very like you have a profile that is very suited to the domain. Maybe that is something that you can put in the summary, but that resume would only be suited for that particular company and cannot be used in general. So that is something that you can use the summary at the very top for. So experience, machine learning intern. Okay, again, when you have an internship, like be more specific about the project, what you worked on, and what was the purpose, and what problems it solved. Mention the technical aspects as well, but provide like a high level overview, non at the non-tech level as well. A content writer fine. Projects, fault detection, anomaly detection, review, scraper, insurance, fraud detection. Okay, so most of them are data related projects. So if you're applying for data related roles, this is fine. Data related or machine learning roles, this is fine. But otherwise, you need to have development like other kinds of project, be it either full stack project, backend project, other types of project as well. Because very few companies actually hire for machine learning or data science roles. directly from colleges. I'm talking about good positions. So if you're confident you can get those roles, it is fine. Otherwise, if you are applying for generic SD roles, you might want to have some other kinds of projects on your resume as well. Education, okay, the remaining is okay. So, Agniva Chakravarti, okay, WorkX, Amazon, uh, June 2021. Okay, so you have not written anything about your WorkX at Amazon. I'm assuming that is because you have not been there for a long time. But anyways, it should never be empty. Whatever maybe whatever project you're currently working on, do mention that. Like mention your projects whenever you have something on your WorkX. Okay, for remaining, okay, worked on the platform backend team, created microservice from scratch, responsible for this. Okay, it is recent. Okay, WorkX, then some projects and awards and ratings. Okay, this is fine. You have a lot of coursework mentioned on the left hand side, and actually your resume is looking like really full. So maybe you can remove some things that are not really required and to give more weightage to things that are actually really good on your resume. So, for example, all of this coursework, now that especially now that you're no longer in college, actually does not add a lot of value. So, you can probably remove the coursework part at least so that you have more space for your projects and all of those things in your workx. So, let's see. Okay, Shubham Chattopadhyay. So, take 19. You can remove your school from the top section. Okay, workx and then summer research intern and projects. Okay, so in workx you have okay. So a lot of this is like very technical and very domain specific. So maybe an HR will not be able to understand like what exactly you did. So maybe for some of these projects you might want to give a high level overview, like one liner about what this project was about. Okay, fine. Remaining, it is fine. Again, same for the research internship as well. If you uh, can attach something to either your projects or your research internship, maybe if you had any output on those in that internship, maybe something that you published or any code that you have written, if that can be shared, if it is possible, put the links for those. And for the projects that you have down below, so virtual file system share registry for attendance. If you can share the code for that or a demo for that, that would really be helpful. Because otherwise, it is very difficult to know like how good actually is the project that you built. So you have publications at the very bottom. So add links to those. Okay. Okay. So for Raja, WorkX. Okay, so at the very top, you have to seek a challenging position in a vibrant organization that allows me to exhibit my skills for the overall growth of the organization. So this is a bunch of words that do not mean anything actually. So better to remove it. What you have added at the very top, uh, like it is completely generic, adds no value, gives no information about you, and so you can remove it. Okay, for WorkX, working on performance tuning of ODI tasks and supporting existing load plan execution, developing data model. Okay, So at a high level, all of these points are fine. Maybe give some specifics along with the high level points as well. Maybe some impact that your projects has had or things like that. If you can mention that, that would be great. Senior instructor training, large audience and basic and advanced concept Python. Okay. Okay. So when you say large audiences, ideally you should give a number. So how many people did you train or teach? Personal projects. Okay, provide links to all of your projects. The Notes app and Netflix. Provide links to those, please. Skills. Okay. Achievements, certifications. Okay. The remaining. Okay. The remaining is fine. Just that you can actually remove some of the things from the bottom and actually add more information about the projects and work that you've done. So, Sad. Uh, Motivated programmer with a demonstrated history of working in the IT industry to build products for betterment and upliftment of technological standards of customers. Again, you're not really adding any information with this statement at the very top. So understand that this is something that you're putting at the very top and is probably something that whoever is looking at your resume will read at the very beginning. So if you're not really giving any important information about yourself or you're not really selling yourself, uh, you're wasting like if that person was going to give 10 seconds to your resume, you've already wasted like 4 5 seconds of their time, and everything that is more important at the bottom of your resume uh, can get missed or will not get its due importance. So, senior software engineer. Okay, the colors is like not really great on this resume because some of the text that you have and this lightish blue is not very readable. So, your resume is like a very formal document, so it's not really important to have colors. And also, your photo, also your profile picture at the very top is not relevant to the job. So you can remove that as well. You're not really adding any value with the picture either. So a black and white resume is completely fine. You do not need to have your picture. You do not necessarily need to have colors and any of those things. This might make some sense to have a fancy resume if you're applying for a position of a designer or things like that. But if you're applying for a position of a software engineer, none of this make any sense. Okay, so for WorkX, designing and building smart and efficient chatbot, uh, scaling, put numbers. So if you have built something, so the in the third point I see it, reducing the latency from 6 seconds to 22 seconds for all types of queries. So yeah, this is something that others can look at as well. Generally, if you're building on a project and it has some kind of outcome, that so put that outcome in when describing about it on your resume. So software engineer, resonance data management. Uh, okay, this is also fine. So remaining, the content is mostly fine. It's just that you need to present it in a better way. For your projects, I do not see links. So if you can add links, that would be okay. I'll pause for a second here, and I would like to take questions. So if you have any questions, add it to the chat. Hey, can we submit a resume now? We won't be able to take it up today, but you can probably submit it and maybe you will take it up sometime in the future if we do another similar session. But right now we won't be able to take it up. Writing data structures and algorithms and skills will be good. If you actually have those skills, you can write them, but just writing them because almost everyone writes them. So it's not like that if you write the skills, you will get any preference over anyone else. But yes, if you have some data points to suggest that you are really good at it, maybe a rank at an established programming competition, if you are at all a competitive programmer, can help. But otherwise, this is something that is expected from everyone. If you have any other questions, you can put on chat. Cool. So I'll move forward till then. Okay. So for Samantha, experience. Okay. Full stack developer, worked with cross-functional, responsible migration, worked with these technologies. Hmm, integrity, automated unit testing coverage. So this is good for the first point at least. Just if you could put in some impact numbers, that is the only thing that I see missing. Otherwise, at least for the first experience uh, that you have is okay. Worked with project called Digital Advertising Platform, REST APIs, Laravel Node.js, AWS, work with REST, deployed application. Okay, so you have put in a lot of like technology and framework in each of the points, like this language, this framework. All of that is fine, but also you need to put in like information about what exactly that you did, like what and what was the impact of the project. So what the project was around and the impact of it as well. So just mentioning technologies is not enough. So managed code using Git and Bitbucket is not really like lot informational. Like it is assumed that if you're working on projects, you will be good at Git or you know how to use Git. If you want, you can put Git in like a point, like in at the very end, maybe in the languages and frameworks or technologies that you know, you can put it. But like no point in like wasting space. And the main part of your resume, like one line for each language or framework or Git is not required. Working on eight. So I see that every point you have just mentioned, like languages and frameworks and REST APIs, like this is common across all of your projects. So it is not really adding much value. It would be better if you could explain more about the work that you did, the project that you did, what problems it did solve, if any numbers to back it up. Maybe you can use the space to provide insight into that. Okay, so leadership, so proven leadership skills to guide junior students to improvement in coding tests. If it is proven, like you're using the word proven, provide the proof if you have anything. Uh, it could be in terms of numbers or anything, uh, or provide examples of how you proved your leadership skills. So maybe at least rather than saying just proven leadership skills, maybe provide some numbers as to how many junior students did you mentor and in what ways that you helped them and what exactly that you did to help them. Okay. Um, okay, for Deepak, okay, so education, personal projects. So maybe you can add personal projects in before education. Apart from that, okay, for projects, colors again. So some of the blue here that you have used for text is not ideal. Maybe try like using some color which has a better contrast. Some of the font is like really small and in some places it's really big, so and there's also some white space, so maybe you can adjust the font size as well to make it easily readable as well. So developed a customer logging system that replaces manual entry. Okay, worked on creating better app into repository. Okay, fine. Implemented daily automated email for this. Okay, flash chat. Okay, so the projects part are decent. Skills, organizations. Okay, languages, interest. Okay, all of this is fine. So maybe you can like use up the space a little more intelligently. So so maybe if you're part of so many organizations, maybe it would be more useful if you can provide some information as to what you've done as part of those organizations. And like remaining is fine. It's just about space management and what are the important information that you can put to really put yourself to give the best information about yourself to whoever is viewing your resume. Okay, for Vanshika. Okay. Experience full stack developer intern, admin panel, design integrated front end and back end, implemented functionalities, create, read, update, delete, and authentication. Okay. Front end developer, 5 ATMs, created the placement sections for. Okay. Uh, this section. Display placement. Okay. Good. Front end developer. Okay. It's fine. So hosted on GitHub. So I'm not really able to make out right now whether you have provided links or not. If it is if you have links on these sections or not. If not, you can add those links as well. For projects, I think overall it is fine. You have different projects as well. Overall, it stays. So for Yashwant, education. Okay, there is very little information about you on your resume. So again, like format your resume properly. Like this format really does not make the best use of the space that you have on the page. There's a lot of distributed white space, and the font size is very small in some places. So maybe use like a better resume format. So okay. So if you're putting education at the very beginning and you have your intermediate and school information, really not things that you will use to sell yourself. So maybe if you have good projects, put your projects. Or if you have good work experience, put that at the top. If you do not have good projects, like it is very important that you actually build good projects. So new cab booking application. Okay, provide links to your project if you can. That would be really helpful. And demo links as well. Apart from this, it is fine. Like there's very little information about you relatively speaking. So maybe you would want to maybe add a few new projects to your resume as well. Okay, you have some work experience as well, so it isn't on content writing. If you're adding it as a work experience, maybe add more information about what you have written. Um, okay, Sanchit Mishra, education, design experience, last and travel, built a RESTful API, facilitate quick prototyping. Okay, so awarded. Okay, so you have not really explained the projects that you have done. So maybe add more information about the projects as well. Okay, another thing, your experience is from May 2018 to June 2018. So okay, you are a training. Okay, then it is fine. So I do not see. Okay, so for projects, you are adding them. Okay, so implemented RESTful API. Okay, build the visual stock portfolio analyzer. Okay, fine. So add links, demo links and code links to your projects. Here as well. Good. Remaining. Okay. Okay. Now for Archana, seeking entry level. Okay, you do not need to add this at the very top. Seeking entry level opportunity where I can like utilize my skills and hence learning. This is true for everyone. It does not add any information. Education, personal projects, give information about your projects. Just giving the name of your project is not enough. Explain what you have uh, built on those projects and what it does, and give like more information about it. Organization, certificates, everything is fine. Your personal project section can be improved a lot. Uh, so okay, so there are a few questions. I'll take them up. So, okay, link is there, then it's fine. If there's link, it is good. So, how many projects should I have? I don't have work experience. I'm in my fifth semester. The number of projects actually does not matter that much. Like two or three can also be fine. What is important is that they should be relatively good ones, like not something that is something that is similar to something that is found on the web, or something that you're not built by looking at a tutorial, something that you're really built like on your own while learning on the process is fine. Okay, so site Gotham, again, remove your image, remove whatever you have to the left of the image as well. Education at the very top. Okay, so your uh, I think after you remove some of those things, you will have more space so that everything is not as cluttered as it is. And also like school information, all of those things you can remove. 10th, 12th, you can remove things like that. Okay, projects and publications, created a feature, okay, development touch as smart terms and also tweaks. Okay, so some of these look uh, like, okay, if you have links, it is fine. I think it is fine. Internships, extra fluence, ongoing, currently working on. Okay. So, in a lot of these places, like at least for the internship, you have, so, okay. So you have only explained the tech part of what you're doing, but not exactly what your project is on, like what problem are you solving. So maybe provide information on that as well. Technical skills, personal skills, about remaining it is fine. Okay. Uh, so Chanvi, summary. Okay, being a hard worker can remove it. Can remove the summary experience. Maybe you can increase the font size a little bit so that it is more clear for whoever is reading it. Apart from the working on background replacement of showrooms, computer vision, that's fine. The experience part is okay. To India, persistence in our systems built in be capable of detecting. Okay, publications. Otherwise, it is fine. The format at least is decent. Okay, so this was the last resume. So you might have noticed that there was a lot of common things that I mentioned across multiple resumes. If you have any questions, you can ask it. This were all of the resumes that I was going to review. Cool. I do not see any questions. So, okay, thanks everyone. Thanks for joining.